Aguirre almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
Like last summer.
Yeah, and you watched it back to back with Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Also by Herzog.
Yeah.
Also with Klaus Kinski.
Yes.
As the protagonist.
Yeah, and I was so... I wasn't, like, researching or anything, and I just, like, came to the realization that it was the same actor, like, through, more through the spiritual similarity of the characters and, like, their particular kind of, like, insanity.
How is Nosferatu the same?
Gosh.
Like, the context is so different.
Totally.
Like, Nosferatu is... Well, they're both these loners, I guess.
They're both these loners. Nosferatu's, like, hunting for Emily. And the obsession of it. It's, like... It's almost relieving in Nosferatu because it's, like, directed at a woman, so you kind of understand it. But, like, there's... In the same way that Aguirre's raft like gets overtaken by monkeys and everything. There's like the boats that Nosferatu comes in on are like swarmed with rats, and then the whole village is plagued, and like the kind of single-minded passion of this one character like ripples out and affects everyone around him, and like it's totally insane. Like that, like Emily is like this idea, and El Dorado, like I don't think he even believes in it. I don't think he's truly looking for it in a way. Like the absurdity of like this land to our left and this land to our right is ours. And
well, he's found enough of El Dorado to be going on with, as far as Aguirre is concerned. He's found a vulnerable group of people with no myth, and thus a blank canvas to project a myth of his own godliness onto it. Yeah. Like, that's his El Dorado, is finding a chance to play God.
Which is like actually...
He starts out the thing as second in command to this other guy. Right. And he's, like, presumably third in command before the two captains, Aguirre and the higher guy, go off on a branching mission. So this kind of personality that he is probably like resenting the fact of anyone being over him the whole time. So he's found his treasure. Yeah. Like a chance to take charge finally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. El Dorado as like the opportunity to play God. Because that's the story of like conquistadors happening upon the Aztecs. That's the story of like Disney or DreamWorks El Dorado too, right? Is like the way
they pretend they're gods.
Yeah, and
that's funny. They're a trickster coyote archetype story. Road to El Dorado. They're both tricksters. Yeah, and they just accidentally become gods. Yeah, and then are fools about it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like kind of the opposite, where it's like he's so directed in playing this game with the troops, and by the end, like, he's so in his own fantasy about it. The chaos that causes is like so disturbing, because it gives you this feeling like you can live in your own myth like forever, and like the world can be literally falling apart around you. Like moss is growing up his legs, and he's just like...
It's the being in touch with reality thing or not.
Yep.
The priest, he gives, the way Ayn Rand has every character give the manifesto of like, this is my beliefs, and this explains all my actions in this novel. This next like speech that the book is going to go into. Aguirre doesn't have that necessarily, but the priest gives it for him when they see the ship marooned on the top of a tree off in the jungle.
Oh my gosh.
And they're doubting whether they actually see it or not.
Yeah.
Because they're all like starving and have fever and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the priest, he gives the manifesto that allows someone like Aguirre to do what he's doing. He goes like, there is no boat up there. Like, that's not what you're seeing. There is no water. He points at the river they're flowing through. There is no boat under my feet. Mm-hmm. He gives the manifesto of like a complete denial of my senses.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to like trace that back to like, how's that traced to the plot, the myth that they're this like, they're conquistadors, they're branching off. A kind of denial of your senses is necessary for any hero's journey. You have to like go where your senses tell you like, that's dangerous, don't go there.
The darkest.
You have to,
think is the darkest.
Yeah, you have to disregard some very logical fears and just trek forward to find El Dorado for like one thing. And the main caravan turns around. They're like, we're fucking lost. Yeah. We don't know where we're going. Yeah. This is a bad job.
We're going to send you crazier people.
Yeah.
So, that's true.
Yeah, so it's their ability to deny reality that like gives them the courage to break off from the Spanish myth. But then it's also obviously this razor's edge of, well, now they're nowhere.
I just read it as Herzog's critique of colonialism. He's coming from this very postmodern perspective and then applying that to showing you how absurd conquistadors' like worldview was. That everything they believed in was completely made up.
Like by telling this one story, you read it as he's making a blanket statement about conquistadors, the whole set of crusades into the New World. Mm-hmm. Kind of the same way There Will Be Blood makes one blanket statement about what oil barons were like. Mm-hmm. I read it as like him being self-aware about what it's like to lead an entire army of crew into the jungle to film something no one even knows what he's trying to see. Yeah. And he doesn't write screenplays, so it's not like he can show them. Yeah. He's just ordering them around to make some made-up thing. That's how I read it. Like he's the maniacal fucking leader ego at the top. And then like he like...
And all of his movies do end like that. It's just like, here's a raft full of monkeys.
They do.
Well, like, Cave of Forgotten Dreams, like, it's this, like, it's like he's on psychedelics the whole time. He's like, we're all connected, and, like, everyone is, like, having these dreams and connected, and then it kind of just ends with, like, I don't know. That's probably not real. We're all gonna, die from global warming anyway.
Well, it was really fucking good. Was Nosferatu as beautiful as that? Visually beautiful?
No, because it's like creepy vampire. It's just, I guess it's visually beautiful in a different way, because it's these little perfect sets of, this little Victorian house and this, so the shots of architecture are cool, but the overwhelming experience of nature in this film is like so amazing. Yeah. The crowning shot of the film is just the very first shot. Yeah. The whole caravan descending a mountain that's covered in clouds at the top. Yeah. And it just jungle and mountain and ants of humans like making their
treacherous way down the side of a mountain, coming from heaven apparently down to earth.
Wow.
And bringing all their little shish kebabs.
I know, that's the funniest thing is like the armor that's made for like European battles, like just single file through this massive jungle.
Yeah.
It's with like totems from another planet, may as well be, you know. And
wow, yeah, they are like space aliens.
They're space aliens. Yeah.
Well, did you like it this second time you watched it?
Yeah.
I liked it. The Klaus Kinski was fucking insane to watch. That was an insane performance. And it was all very real, very embodied.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
So everyone was a pretty good actor, I guess. And the director really like knew how to get it out of them.
Yeah. Crowning their king and like feeding him the best food that they could come up with while the rest of them are like eating algae off the bottom of the boat. Like these scenes of needing to create hierarchy, but the absurdity of the hierarchy they're creating is like so dark and like that wasn't a part that stuck with me from my first viewing. I was a lot more just struck by Klaus Kinski and the monkeys.
The monkeys are great. Yeah. That feels true to me, that he's like self-flagellating or something, like doing Herzog.
Yeah,
like
well, it's almost like Mother. It's like, you know,
doing penance for being such a big ego. Like he has to do penance for it by like showing a big ego be ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, like I feel like this is a major theme that we're always talking about, like who can tell the story that can like carry people, like tell, you know, the religious myth that can carry people, or just a novel that like Harry Potter or something that like can carry people into the next like 10 years. And so Aguirre steps forward as the answer to that, especially when the priest kind of can't be that anymore because they've gotten too far from home. Yeah, it's just really disturbing because I guess like, yeah, as writers, that being something that we are like particularly concerned with, it's just so damning.
Yeah, we're writers because we intuit the same thing, that to provide exposition for what's happening or what could happen is the power of gods. And here's an example of someone using that, but like, just has no interest in integrating his story with actual reality, which is kind of like The Cartographer a little bit.
Yeah, my poem, The Cartographer, is about, in the treasure hunt scene, is about a map maker that's way more interested in collecting and making maps than actually getting them to El Dorado, and the sailors are getting frustrated. And I think the image of Aguirre is just like disturbing, because when you're trying to take this like active storytelling role, there's just always a fear of being out of touch with reality, because reality is so massive, and what are you not perceiving? Like it's your story makes your lens, and
it's pretty easy to like avoid the mistake that like the priest is making.
Well,
like, do you want to meet with reality or not? Like J.K. Rowling making Harry Potter, she wasn't diving into Harry Potter to deny how fucked up her life was. She was like rolling with how fucked up life was and then pouring the lessons of that into her story.
Sure.
And there was give and take between the two.
Yeah.